Hidden deep in Abkhazia's northwestern mountains is the remote village of Sku, a secluded highland settlement that has preserved a unique glimpse into traditional mountain life. Nestled in the Skugomista range at about 760 meters above sea level and surrounded by dense forests and alpine meadows, Sku is so isolated that for much of the year it could only be reached by horseback or rough 4x4 tracks. Founded by Russian Old Believers, a religious community that split from the Russian Orthodox Church in the 17th century, Sku became a refuge for families escaping persecution in the lowlands and seeking solitude in the wild Caucasus. They built wooden homes and small wooden chapels in a valley carved by the clear waters of the Sku River, relying on herding, small-scale farming, and forest crafts to survive in this rugged environment. During Soviet times, Sku's isolation gave it another unusual role. It served as a base for experimental forestry and mountain agriculture. Soviet scientists planted trial plots of exotic trees, including Canadian spruce and cedar, to test their adaptability to the Caucasus climate. The surrounding forests still hide remnants of these old research groves alongside native beech, fir, and chestnut stands. Today, Sku remains one of Abkhazia's least accessible villages, cut off by snowy passes for months at a time. The few families who live there maintain centuries-old customs of highland herding and forest foraging, speaking dialects that mix Abkhaz, Russian, and Old Slavic words. Travelers who make the long trek to Sku find stone ovens still baking traditional flatbreads, wooden barns leaning into the mist, and endless views of untouched ridgelines, a living window into a way of life that has all but disappeared elsewhere in the Caucasus. Tucked along Abkhazia's lush Black Sea coast lies the seaside settlement of Patsunda, also called Bichvinta, a place famous for its ancient sacred sites and breathtaking pine groves that have drawn people here for over 2 millennia. In ancient times, Patsunda was one of the most important port cities of the Kingdom of Caucasus and later the Roman Empire's eastern frontier. The name Pityus, as it was then known, appears in Greek and Roman sources as a bustling trading post for timber, honey, wax, and wine shipped across the Black Sea. Archaeologists have unearthed Roman fortifications, bathhouses, and coins that prove Patsunda's strategic maritime importance. One of its most remarkable landmarks is the Patsunda Cathedral, built in the 10th century by King Bagrat III, the first king of a unified Georgia. This massive stone basilica, still standing today, is one of the largest surviving medieval churches on the eastern Black Sea. Its thick limestone walls enclose ancient frescoes and a unique acoustics chamber. Today it's renowned for hosting sacred music concerts because its echo lasts several seconds inside the huge vaulted interior. Equally famous is the Patsunda pine grove that surrounds the town. This rare coastal forest, made up of centuries-old Pinus bruchavar, Pityusa, grows right down to the beach. The scent of sun-warmed pine mingling with salty sea air is one of Patsunda's most vivid signatures. In the Soviet era, this grove was protected by the Patsunda Mayuzura Reserve and was a favorite getaway for Soviet elites. Today, visitors wander through this timeless combination of ancient ruins, early Christian architecture, and whispering pine forests. Locals and tourists alike come to swim in the clear waters, visit the Grand Cathedral's ancient walls, and stroll beneath the same towering pines that sheltered Roman merchants and medieval kings, making Patsunda a living bridge between Abkhazia's natural beauty and its layered past. High in the western Caucasus Mountains of Abkhazia lies Lake Amtkal, one of the region's lesser-known but strikingly beautiful natural wonders and the result of a dramatic geological event. Unlike most alpine lakes formed by ancient glaciers, Lake Amtkal was created suddenly in 1891, when a massive earthquake triggered a massive landslide that blocked the flow of the Amtkal River. The debris dammed the valley, causing river waters to back up and flood the surrounding forests and meadows, creating a new, crystal-clear mountain lake almost overnight. Today, Lake Amtkal stretches about 2.4 kilometers long and reaches depths of up to 35 meters, surrounded by steep, forested slopes covered in beech and hornbeam trees. Old tree trunks still emerge eerily from its shallows, a haunting reminder of the submerged forest that once stood there. The lake's secluded location, high in the Amtkal range near the village of Lada, makes it accessible only by rugged mountain trails, which adds to its mystique. Locals have woven legends around the lake's sudden birth, saying it was the resting place of mountain spirits angered by human intrusion. During the Soviet period, Amtkal's clear waters attracted scientists studying seismic lakes and natural dams, while adventure seekers came to fish for trout or camp on its wild, pebbly shores. Today, Lake Amtkal remains an untouched gem for hikers and nature lovers. Those who reach its tranquil banks are rewarded with mirror-like reflections of the surrounding peaks, the quiet rustle of alpine forests, and an atmosphere that feels unchanged since the day the earth itself reshaped the valley in a single, powerful moment. On Abkhazia's eastern edge, near the foothills of the Caucasus, lies the remote village of Ilar, home to one of the most revered spiritual sites in Abkhazia, the Ilori Church of St. George. Built in the early 11th century by King Bagrat III, this modest yet enduring stone church is not only one of the oldest surviving examples of medieval Abkhazian Christian architecture but also a living center of ancient traditions that blend pagan and Christian beliefs. The Eli Church, with its simple whitewashed walls, arched doorway, and small dome, sits surrounded by centuries-old oak trees and rolling pastures. For centuries, it has been a sacred place for local communities who come to pray to Astay. George, a figure deeply woven into the Caucasus region's folklore. Many locals still believe St. George protects the harvest, livestock, and families, and they mark his feast day with special prayers and folk rituals that echo much older, pre-Christian customs. One of the church's most unique features is its ancient stone altar, where villagers once brought offerings of wine, bread, and even animal sacrifices, practices that have long since evolved but remain alive in local songs and legends. It's said that the church's spring-fed well has healing powers, and pilgrims often gather water to take home for blessings and protection. Over the centuries, the Eli Church has survived invasions, earthquakes, and decades of neglect. Despite periods of damage and restoration, it remains an active place of worship, where Abkhazians still gather for baptisms, village festivals, and quiet reflection. Standing beneath its ancient oaks, you can feel a continuity that stretches back 1,000 years, a small stone chapel that has silently witnessed the tides of kings, empires, and the resilient faith of the Abkhaz people. Hidden in Abkhazia's rugged Kotori Gorge lies the ancient village of Tsabelda, a place famous for its dramatic medieval fortresses and stunning mountain vistas that once made it a strategic gateway between the Black Sea coast and the high Caucasus interior. Tsabelda is most renowned for its cluster of fortress ruins, collectively known as the Tsabelda Fortress Complex, which dates back as far as the 4th to 6th centuries AD and played a crucial role during the early medieval period. Perched high on rocky cliffs overlooking the winding Kotori River, the main fortress and its watchtowers commanded sweeping views of the gorge below, making it an almost impregnable stronghold. This position allowed local rulers to control mountain trade routes, collect tolls from caravans, and guard against northern raiders or rival kingdoms pushing in from the interior Caucasus. Archaeologists believe the site once included multiple stone towers, defensive walls built into the sheer cliff face, and early Christian chapels, evidence of its dual military and spiritual importance. Excavations have revealed pottery, arrowheads, and ancient stone inscriptions that point to the fortress's role as both a defensive citadel and a community center for the mountain clans who lived in the surrounding highlands. During the medieval kingdom of Abkhazia, Tsabelda Fortress was considered a key outpost, linking the coastal power centers like Sukhumi with the more remote mountain valleys. Local folklore still tells of hidden tunnels and secret escape routes carved through the rock, though few have ever been found. Today, Tsabelda is mostly abandoned except for a handful of seasonal herders who graze their livestock on the steep meadows. Adventurous visitors who make the trek along narrow trails are rewarded with dramatic ruins clinging to cliffsides, panoramic views of the Kotori Gorge, and the haunting sense of a forgotten stronghold that once watched over one of Abkhazia's most important mountain corridors.